Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Friday, June 18th, 2021. I am Andrew Hansen alongside Joe Sarvati, who's affectionately known as Coach. Coach, welcome back. You had a day off yesterday, and I understand you were down at the front offices with Mr. Cuban discussing those front office openings.
Man, I'll tell you, I wish I could. I would love to get my nose in there, but I think they may call security, probably escort me out. But no, it's good to be back. Good refresh day. I know Crash had a nice baseball day, and you had some cash lineups do pretty well in basketball. But of course, we know some of those bench guys were tough to figure yesterday, no doubt about it. But all in all, we've still got a ton of momentum going into what I like to call my weekend, which is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday 3-dayer, because that's always my goal, to get the sweep through the weekend, and couldn't be more fired up. But you mentioned the Mavs, and of course I got to start out with that. Dirk weighed in also, but really bummed that I lose my good friend Donnie Nelson as the GM there. That was all my inside skinny with the Mavs is now gone.
Yeah.
So disappointing the way it ended. He's been with the organization 24 years, in that position for 14, and it was not a mutual scenario. It did not end well, and that long of a relationship, they should have been able to figure out how to make it end right. And so I'm very disappointed there. But Carlisle resigning, there's lots of rumors he's eyeing some other jobs. I'm not upset about that one. As you know, I've been a little critical of Carlisle's moves. I think this is an understandable reset. You're about to sign, your once in a generation talent, Luka, to a supermax extension. Get the guys in there that he's comfortable with. And hearing all kinds of rumors. Jamal Mosley, the assistant coach, is the one that Luke is closest with. He's respected a ton by players all over the league. They think that'll help get them recruited some players to help Luka. So Jamal's probably the leader, but there's a lot of great guys out there. Andrew, Terry Stotts, who was an assistant here when we won the championship before he went to Portland. He'd be an interesting guy. I mean, there's a pretty long list. So excited to see how that's all going to happen. As far as the front office goes, I know they'll try, they've already said they're going to try it. Masiri, the Raptors guy, everybody does when they get a GM position open. Yeah. So who knows if they'll get him, but they're willing to throw a lot of money at him. So that's possible. And he is a sharp guy. I'd love that. The rumor internally, though, is Michael Finley, who's been the president of basketball operations and worked with Donnie some. So that's going to all come together. I'm excited as a Mavs fan, and that's probably the last inside skinny report I can give on the Mavs, though.
Yeah, but changing of the guard down there, and changing of the guard in Boston. Kemba
How
Walker
about
on his
that?
way out. Brad Stevens wasting no time, making a big move. Before I saw the return on that trade, I was hoping for Horford and Dort, coach, for the Celtics, but it turned out to be Horford and Brown, the two bigs. So Horford will continue to mentor him in Boston, and Celtics needing to shore up the middle there. So that'll be fun to see how it plays out, and see if Stevens has any other moves up his sleeve this summer.
Yeah, I think it was smart. You get, a veteran big man and a young big man, and, Kemba's on fumes. So the Thunder keep adding, non-future guys to this team. Who knows what they're doing? Right. But, they also get the number 16 pick. I guess that's what they wanted. So we'll see how that rolls. But, lots of news going on. I mean, basketball has a way to stay in the headlines throughout. So I'll tell you what, I'm toying with, and we'll talk more about it again. I want to get into these games, but I'm actually toying with just going for a couple of days in August to the limited summer league that they're having in Vegas, and setting up all of our reservations in person. Because, as you know, and listeners, that's why we want you to become a member. We're going to have a members only get together next summer, next July of 2022, It's going to be our first ever DFS Coach Talk conference in Vegas. We're going to catch summer league games, hang out. But I just decided recently I may make the little jaunt there. It's like a 2-hour and 15-minute flight from Dallas. It's nothing, and get that stuff all lined up for us next year. So I'm psyched, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. And tonight we have a 2-game slate.
We do.
This is the slate we've had 2 times already. So third time we've had this 2-game slate. Yep, that's the plan, right? So
yes,
7:30 and 10 o'clock are the tip-off times on ESPN tonight. Both games 6s, so we have a chance to close out the series. And
at
it's
home.
the home
teams
team
can close out at home. Yeah,
that's right. Injury news in Game 1. We have the continuing injury designations for Trey and Embiid.
Yes.
Probable and questionable, but we expect them to be out there like they have been with those tags all series long. And I'll jump on Philly here as the road team. They are 3-point favorites, 221.5 total, and very similar again with Game 2. Utah as the road team, 1.5-point favorite, total of 220. So pretty similar on paper.
Basically, flush the Vegas info because it makes no difference.
Right. But with Philly here, let's just say Embiid is he's going to be out there. And I talked on the show yesterday how I thought they overplayed him in the second half. I thought they ran him into the ground in the third quarter. He didn't have anything left in the fourth.
Right.
Will they make any adjustments to that, or is Doc just going to say we're going for high 30s minutes again with our starters with the season on the line? I'm not sure. And I guess they might not be sure either if something comes up with Embiid finally. We've been talking about it, the way that he looks, the way that he keeps reacting every time he gets bumped.
Yeah.
Will he be able to go full bore for 39 minutes again? I'm not sure. I think he's playable. I don't think he's a lock. I think he is risky, but it's also risky if you don't have him and he continues to dominate Capella like he has most of this series.
He is.
With the rest of the starters for Philly, Seth Curry was absolutely phenomenal. Man, was he good.
He was on fire.
Will Atlanta make an adjustment and try to prevent all those open looks? You would think so. Korkmaz is interesting to me because he's just not my favorite player because he's scoring dependent, but he's really cheap on DraftKings at 3,900, so that's a little bit interesting to me. And then Tobias Harris, the pricing with him, what a trend where now on FanDuel, Collins is more expensive than Tobias Harris.
Unbelievable. And
Collins has been trending up with his performance, so it's not surprising really, but I think it's noteworthy because earlier in the series, Tobias was like 8,800 and Collins was like 58, 6,000. I mean, and that's flip-flop now. So Tobias Harris is available at a comparative discount today on FanDuel. It's still similar on DraftKings where Tobias is 1,400 more. But I just don't think Tobias is going to go 2 for 11. I think that
was painful to watch.
Yeah, that was.
Oh,
I mean, he has to do better and get more shots. So Tobias Harris is in the mix for me again. Probably won't go to Ben Simmons. Just with the salary, the price is still pretty high for a guy who's taking less than 10 field goal attempts per game.
Yeah.
And then with the bench, the guys that still interest me are Thibault and Dwight Howard. Need more minutes than 9 for Dwight and Thibault. 2 for 2 on 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Got 24 minutes, but didn't quite do enough to really pay off the price tag. So is he a playable punt? Yeah, I think he is. But, got to keep playing with it to see if he makes the final roster.
Yeah, no, good stuff. For me with Philly, this is where I stand. I'm going back to Embiid. I'm an Embiid guy. I got off him that last game because he looked like he was about to die and collapse in the game before that. But this is an elimination game. Looking back at Doc's coaching through the playoffs, through the years, I dug in a little bit on the Clippers and a few things just to see his trend in closeout 6th or 7th games in series, and he rides his guys pretty hard in the playoffs, way more than in the regular season. So I think that consistency stays. I know Embiid's a concern. One twist of that knee a little bit, and he could be done for the game. But I can't get away from him. I mean, Capella has been getting he looks like a JV player compared to Embiid. He just gets bodied out of the way and just dominated, and that's surprising because Capella's usually pretty stout on defense, but he just can't match Embiid's strength and size. So I'm going Embiid. That's my first guy in. As far as the other two guys that I love, and again, this is going to be chalky. This isn't going to be any miraculous call here, but when you have showdown slates and 2-game slates, and you have coaches playing like 6 guys and barely playing the bench at all, you can't always take the shots like we try to do with a cheap guy and hope he gets 20 minutes off the bench and gets to his number. And it's not like we're trying to get 30 from those guys. We're trying to get like 12. But you can't even get that from some of these guys sometimes. So the two guys I really like as the bumpers here are Korkmaz and Curry. And the reason I like both of them is Philly has really gone to the strategy of dump it into Embiid. If somebody runs to double him, kick the ball, get a second pass if you have to, and Korkmaz and Curry will be spotting up for 3. And they're both really good shooters. So I think that trend is going to continue. And, when they have the ball, if Simmons doesn't get a quick break where he can take it to the basket, then it's simply going to be get the ball to Embiid. If he gets doubled, kick it or swing it again for Korkmaz or Curry for the 3. And that's why I think Harris got lost in the shuffle a little bit. Plus, he just was playing bad. But he only got 11 shots up, and he just was never into the flow because he's really like a mid-range. He's a slices to the hoop. He does a lot of things well, but he's not just a spot-up shooting 3-point specialist like Korkmaz and Curry. And I really think the game script here for them to win and try to get back to Philly is those 3 guys. I think that's going to be almost like a triangle offense that they're going to run with Embiid and Curry and Korkmaz. So I feel very strong about this one. This could be a 5-crown slate starting with those 3 Philly guys. And then, I'll build out from there. But I'm not going to go to the bench there. Korkmaz is cheap enough to give me the value that I need. Simmons 4 for 14 at home from 3. Or I'm from the foul line. What's he going to do with them chanting and harassing him in the, hack of Simmons? And again, he just doesn't get enough shots up, 4 shots to pay that kind of price for him. I know he's a triple-double waiting to happen, but I do not trust it. So I feel good about this game, Andrew. I think that this has the potential to play hopefully into our hands here at Coach Talk.
All right. Well, how about on the Atlanta side? You're going to run it back with Trey and pay up for both studs in game 1?
Well, I'll tell you, I played Trey 2 games ago and he was awesome. And I thought, okay, I would assume Philly adjusts and makes sure Simmons is on him and settles him down. And it just didn't happen. Trey was phenomenal. 40 minutes, 10 for 23, hit a couple threes, 7 assists. He was terrific. The question is price-wise. If I'm building the lineup I'm wanting to build, I can't afford to have Trae Young and Embiid and Paul George. And that creates a problem for me because I refuse to dig down. I'm just not doing it on like a Lou Williams or Thibault or, Pat Bev or, it's just, I'm going to suck it up and play a little bit more mid group after those couple of stars, which is a little bit different strategy, but it's brutal when you have that one guy that you're away from the optimal lineup, and it not only knocks you out of the optimal lineup, it knocks you out of the cash because the guy takes a 2 or something. So I'm going to try to, unfortunately, as much as I love Trey, probably not going to go there. I do have a question to ask you. What in God's name was that game from Bogdanovich?
Well, I mean, this is a perfect example of how things change game to game.
Yeah,
Variance where we talked about how Trae Young and Bogdanovich combined to take 50 shots the game
yeah.
before, right? But this one, it was only 32. I mean,
Well,
that's what?
9 for Bogdanovich, 9.
Yeah, exactly. That is a monster shift. He only played 21 minutes, and it was the Lou Williams show in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
He got to 23 minutes, played really well, and yeah, big time off night for Bogdanovich, and just out of sorts, making bad passes.
terrible.
Yeah, that was a rough one for him.
I mean, he ran into a bunch of bad fouls. He was in foul trouble. He couldn't hang on to the ball. It just was, I mean, it couldn't have got worse for the poor guy. But I'm not going to overreact. I think a lot of the industry is going to overreact and think, okay, Lou Williams, good guy to plug in. He played a good game. He's going to get 20, 25 minutes. I don't think so. I really don't. I hope the industry dives towards that because I think that is a trap. I think Lou will get some minutes, 15 maybe, 17, and be okay. But no way in my mind does he get anywhere near 15 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. I just don't see it. So the question is, do I want to, roll out Bogdanovich again? Because he is sort of pricey, but I do think he'll have a bounce back game. Shooters shoot. I'm sure they're in his head, shoot the ball. You'll get your rhythm going. And guys like that, they see 1 or 2 go in and, you're good. I mean, he didn't get a single foul shot attempt. He usually really gets some good stuff there. And, he was in foul trouble, so he only got 3 rebounds. He's been getting 6, 7, 8 rebounds, crashing the glass. So likely to play Bogdanovich, but I'm not positive yet. But I'm not going to the trap play Lou Williams. Kevin Huerter, nice game from him too. Good Lord,
Yeah, right.
0 for 7. I mean, what? Here's the question I have for you. You look at Bogdanovich's numbers and you look at Huerter's numbers. They both played a decent amount of minutes. They combined to go 3 for 15, 0 for 8 from 3, and they still won the game.
Yeah, right.
Unbelievable. So I don't know what the deal is with Huerter. I think he'll bounce back as well. I really do. I don't know.
Can't play any worse.
I mean, you can't. You can't play any worse. There's just no possible way. So he's on my list. Chalk is going to be John Collins, and deservedly so. He's really playing more inspired and getting a few more minutes. He had 36. He's usually not. He's usually more down by 30. But give him that extra 6, 7 minutes, man, and that makes an impact. He's in play for me. Not going to make the mistake to go back to Capella. I'm just, again, you just have to hope he completely dominates the paint and gets every rebound to make his number because he's not going to do a lot offensively. But he's just getting manhandled. I think my concern is he gets in foul trouble on top of that now. He had 5 last game anyway, but he sees the tape where he gets bumped out like he's a middle schooler. So, he's going to be trying to pound back at Embiid, especially with him being banged up. But I don't think he wins that battle, and he certainly hasn't proven that he can. So for me, Andrew, on the Atlanta side, I'm sticking with the bounce back theory here. Huerter possibly in play, Bogdanovich. And my man Gallo, I say it, this is the 3rd time in a row we've said exactly the same thing. And I end up, saying I do want to put him as last man in. And I'm always hesitant about it, but the dude did it again. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds. You can't ask for more than that, 30 minutes, and his price is still good. So really it's an odd grouping for me here, but Huerter, Bogdanovich, and Gallinari are the 3 I'm looking at.
I'll start with Gallinari. I agree. I like his spot, especially his price on DraftKings. 4,500 feels too low for me with a guy that is a veteran, can get 30 minutes like last game, and he's a guy that you can give it to on the wing, the extended block, and know that he's going to create a shot for himself. Great foul shooter. So he's definitely playable, more so on DraftKings. Sticking with the bench, the whole Lou Williams, Bogdanovich, Huerter thing, that's tricky. Because Huerter can't shoot any worse. Bogdanovich's probably can't play any worse overall.
Exactly.
So I think they'll both be better. But at the same time, if Lou gets out there early in the fourth and he's doing his thing again, I don't think Nate's going to pull him. I mean, the guy is a scorer. Who would you rather have in the fourth quarter with the ball in his hands at the top of the key, Lou Williams or Kevin Huerter? Lou Williams, right?
I don't know. I would say Lou Williams 5 years ago by a mile.
Yeah.
But if you look through the season, it's been Kevin Huerter, and it's been. I think they split it. I don't think it's just because of that last game, 0 for 7 and 7 for 11. Is it? I mean, Lou is a vet, and I get what you're saying. I just think that was a bit of an anomaly. I don't think he gets double-digit shots.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Lou Williams is a lock, especially on FanDuel. He's 4,800. I'm not going to play him there, but I think he's playable on DraftKings at 3,200. It's just, I think it's a real hard one to predict with those three guys today.
Yeah. Well, it's whoever's hot, you know. There's no doubt. And we're just, for me, I'm banking on those guys step it back up. But if they're still slumped, that's the place they would go. I agree.
Right. Yeah. I think if I could only have one, it would probably be Bogdanovich. But he's a shooting guard on FanDuel. It's a crowded position. You can't.
Plus, he's more expensive, a lot more than those other guys. But
right.
Yeah.
But then if you play him, then what happens with Curry, Korkmaz, Paul George, and Donovan Mitchell? You can only play two of them on FanDuel, so it's a real tough spot to evaluate today.
Very tough. It's much easier on DraftKings and Yahoo for sure.
Definitely. And then with the other Atlanta guys, I agree. Collins is just really trending well. Definitely playable. I don't want to play Capella for the reasons you said. And then Trae Young, I haven't been paying up for him here, but at home, closeout game, he's going to be out there in charge. And man, he's just amazing in his first playoff run.
Playing fantastic, man.
With his size, to be able to this consistently put up all those points, get
Amazing.
big assists. He just uses his speed and his smarts so well. And obviously, he's not afraid to pull up from 30 and get those threes off, which is really the key to that comeback.
Do you realize this is his first playoffs?
Yep.
He's had to face the two toughest crowds in sports. That's the New York Knicks fans and the Philly Sixers fans. They have tortured him. And all he's done is basically, without saying it, said F you to everybody, and has just showed up and just stuck it to everybody. And that, I just can't get over that. That is so much. That, a veteran maybe, but guy in his first playoffs, amazing.
Yep, he's been awesome. So I'm going to keep playing with it. I like him. He's expensive.
Painful not to have him. It really is.
Painful not to have him, yep.
Yeah.
So we'll do that all day here. We'll go back and forth and figure it out on both sides for our members. Jump in with us if you'd like. DFSCoachDoc.com is where you can get the membership. Try the 3-day pass if you'd like this weekend. Whichever membership you get is for all of our sports. So you get the basketball lineups today, the baseball lineups, and golf. We'll have weekend golf, of course, at the U.S. Open. We're off to a good start there. So DFSCoachDoc.com. Any questions, reach out to us on Twitter at DFSCoachDoc. Coach, you ready to transition to game 2?
I am. Just remember Fridays. I mean, it seems like we blink and it's Friday again, but I always say, that's such a great day to grab our 3-day pass because you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday with a million games and our golf lineups and everything else. And whenever you sign up for anything at Coach Talk, you get everything we offer, not just that particular sport. So if you jump in, once you hear the podcast here this morning, this afternoon, we will get you in Discord right away so you can gear up for all the sports tonight. And then also the U.S. Open weekend only, which there's some big contests for that as well.
Yeah, I got to reserve those after the show. Thanks for the reminder.
Yes.
All right, game 2. We have Utah in L.A. to play the Clippers. After the Clippers grab game 5, they've got a chance to advance to the Western Conference Finals. We know they're going to do it without Kawhi one way or the other tonight. On the Utah side, Conley questionable again, and Donovan Mitchell with the questionable tag. We think he'll be out there ready to roll again, just playing through it like he has. Conley is the X factor. Not sure. Is he going to watch what Harden's doing and say, well, I can play with a sore hamstring? Or is the fact that he's so dependent on speed and quickness just going to be too much for him to be able to give it a go? And Utah says we're just better off with the crew that we have out there. Obviously, they want him back out there, but what percentage health is he? And that's what we just don't know. So build your lineups with the thought in mind that he could play. And so evaluate that ahead of time and just know, okay, if he's going to play, it's either going to affect this lineup or not, and then proceed accordingly with your lineups. I'm going to plan on him not playing, and I think the lineup I'm going to have on both sites is going to be set up so that even if he does play, I'm not going to have to make any pivots.
Okay.
I guess the thing is, for me on both sites here, I'm not quite as interested in the Utah guys, period. I don't think I'm going to have quite as much exposure to them, so I won't have to adjust as much. I do like Mitchell. He's cheaper than Paul George, but he is dinged up. So I'm going to keep playing with that. But Mitchell is squarely in play for me. Joe Ingles is still a solid option, but he could miss out just because of the price and his position. Your man Bojan Bogdanovic was
Finally
ultra hot on threes.
Ooh,
Wow,
he
was
saved
he on
my bacon.
Oh,
He
9
really
for
did.
17 on threes.
Yeah.
He was in the zone.
When he hit that 6-3 in a row, I had to get up out of my seat. I scared the hell out of my dog. It was nuts.
He is an awesome shooter.
Streak. We talked about it on the podcast.
Exactly.
We said that exact thing.
He is streaky, and as amazing as he was, he puts up 3 rebounds and pretty much nothing else.
All scoring, yeah.
So he's playable, but not my favorite here. Royce O'Neal is a solid option. He's in the mix for me. Gobert played a lot better and got 42 minutes, but he's still not getting a huge return on the investment.
No.
So it's a little bit pricey for what he's been returning. And then with the bench, Clarkson, probably the only guy to really seriously look at. 29 minutes, again, scoring dependent. So, if you can kind of sense the feeling there, it's just the way the kind of things work out and the fact that I kind of like the Clippers spot here. I'm just not too excited about the Utah side tonight.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to lock in Oni and Yang as.
Yeah, there you go.
Take that snippet and put it on.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you. I'm not real high on the Jazz here. I think the Clips close them out even without Kawhi personally, but who knows? All we know this playoffs is you never know who's going to win whatever game. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's been proven over and over again. Yeah. Home court doesn't mean as much, even though the fans are back. It's just all over the place. But I'm just going to look for a little bit of value here. For me, Conley news is extremely important, and that's why I'm just going to lay off this team because I have zero clarification from any source that he's going to play, but I just think my gut says that he tries to at least roll out there even in limited minutes. I mean, his team is facing the brink of elimination. They finished first in the conference. They lose this game, they're out. I mean, you would think if he could drag his leg out there, he'd play. So I'm going to just go off the assumption as I'm building here that they get 15, 18 minutes out of him. And that really takes the two values of Ingles and Clarkson off the table for me. So again, if that changes, I'll be ready, to possibly make some shifts for game 2. So that's why it's important, if you're in our Discord, our members are listening, if you're in our Discord, you got to check that and see as we go to game 2 if there's any change, once that's announced. But so I'm laying off those guys. If he does get ruled out again, though, I will go back and take a look at Clarkson, probably more than Ingles on FanDuel, at least because of positionality. But both of them possibly one or the other on DraftKings and Yahoo as well. But I have the same thoughts as you. I don't mind going back to Bogey. That's a potential play. But again, it comes down to the build. I think Royce O'Neal's, at his price, 40 plus minutes, you're never going to break the slate with him, but at his price, he becomes so valuable with none of these bench guys doing diddly. So he's high on my board for value. And after that, not going to go to Mitchell either. I think they doubled him a lot. They're pressuring him a lot. He's not 100%. But again, if Conley plays a little bit, I think that elevates Mitchell as well, because he doesn't have to bring the ball up. He doesn't have to do everything for the Jazz. It may get him going. So I do need that news. But for me, pretty much, a possible bogey and definitely looking O'Neal value. And that's probably it until I get clarification on the news on Conley.
All right. Well, how about on the Clippers side? If you agree with me that they're the team that's going to win tonight, if we had to pick, which guys are you looking at?
Well, first guy in for me is George in this game. My two key guys in my lineups tonight are going to be Embiid and George. I just, he's leading this team. He looks fantastic. He's relishing in this role, and I'm happy for the guy because he was taking all kinds of heat for his terrible performance in the bubble, and he's really stepped up this last game without Kawhi even more so. And I expect his fingerprints to be all over this game, 40 plus minutes, and I just think he's hard, to not have. My go-to guys not let me down either. The reason I've had a great playoffs is my core guys like Morris Sr. have just continued to get it done. I mean, he didn't have his best rebound and assist game, but he was 10 for 16 from the field, knocked down 3 threes, played over 40 minutes, and, his price is still very fair. So, he's high up on my board again. After that, not as excited. Terrence Mann got the start. He's cheaper, 25 minutes. Certainly could play him to make out a lineup. I'm not as high on Batum in this series as I was the last one, so I'm probably not going to go there. Reggie Jackson's price is a little bit tougher, but he is getting a lot of minutes, taking a lot of shots. He's had a very fine series, and I think you have to consider him as well. After that, not going to go to any of the bench. I mean, if you're playing a stars and scrubs and you need a throw-in, and you think Luke Kennard can come in and play, hit some shots, I mean, you could go there, or a Pat Bev probably going to get 15, 20 minutes. But again, I don't want to risk that. I would rather go with the guys that we know are going to be on the floor. And so, for me, George is a lock, and I will consider Mann, Morris, and Jackson.
Yeah, George is a lock for me. Mann is a value play that I think you look at more on DraftKings at 3,200, and expect to get more minutes than Pat Bev at 3,000. Reggie Jackson, I do like. I like the increased usage here without Kawhi.
Right.
And I do like Morris and Batum. I like them both. I like the huge minutes, 40 minutes for Morris, 42 for Batum.
Yeah.
And when they're out there for all those minutes with this good pace, I know that the Clippers aren't fast on paper, but just up and down in all those minutes. It's just them. And, because we know that Utah will come down and shoot all those threes. You get rebounds, you get transition. So I like all these Clippers, really. Key to my builds tonight. And with the bench, if I were to go to one of them, it would probably be Pat Beverly. But he is just a little risky because he can get a real nice return for you with some stocks. But we know he's not too aggressive offensively. He's not getting a bunch in terms of shots and points. So definitely a guy to look at if you are going for a little bit more of a stars and scrubs approach.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, that does the 2-game slate for us here on this fine Friday. Join us and let us know if you have any questions on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. That's the group. You can follow the coach at JOESARVADI. You can find me at Language Olympic. And please do subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you haven't already. We'd love that support. It is a free podcast in front of the paywall. We're going to keep doing that 7 days a week throughout the playoffs. Right, Coach? Is that the plan?
Absolutely. Oh man, we're gonna ride it all the way into the sunset here. And last thing I want to say about this slate is I think you have to have exposure in both games. This isn't one of those games like we've had in some playoff spots where you can stack a game. I think you're going to have to really, narrow it down, but have exposure in both. I think either one could be higher scoring than the other, so you don't have to fear that. But I think, picking the right guys with the smaller rotations and having good amount of people from both games is going to be a key to winning and getting that optimal lineup.
Excellent. Well, hopefully that helped everybody get ready for the slate tonight. We appreciate all your support. On behalf of the coach and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hansen. We'll see you tomorrow as we look to crush it in DFS.